Welcome to another episode of Career Library, the place where real people talk about real-life careers. Now let me introduce to you your host in the red trunks, weighing in at 220 pounds, the lean, mean, colorful commentator and intricate interviewer, the awesome and entrepreneurial Chris Hold the Phones, it's Jones. Welcome to another episode of Career Library. I'm your host, Chris Jones, and today we've got a very special guest, a longtime friend, Justin Brock, and it's so exciting to have him here. He is a independent insurance agent, works here in the building with me in the facilities here, I guess, at Oxley in good old Sharpstown, Texas. So if you don't know where Sharpstown is, it's part of Houston. So Justin, great to have you on here. I'm excited about our conversation today. And so if you wouldn't mind, just share with our listeners a little bit about your childhood, your upbringing, and just we'll go into high school and college or career after that, okay?
Perfect. Yeah, I'm Justin. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
I've actually was born and raised in Sugarland.
Okay.
Went to Sugar Mill Elementary, Sugarland Middle School, and then Kempner High School. Broke my leg in the 12th grade really bad in a car wash being goofy.
So you got to tell me more than that.
So I was doing a type of kick, and I was a fat guy, and so it didn't work.
Were you like doing the Karate Kid stuff?
Oh yeah. And I landed bad on my left leg, and it snapped it. My toes were going the other way from my knee, and it was wild.
So you snapped it right in the lower leg?
Yeah, and it like shattered it in like a 3-inch gap, just completely shattered. And so it was 10 months on crutches and 12 months in a boot.
Okay.
4 surgeries. I got infected. It was an ordeal.
Oh wow! So how many months were you in that, or?
Total about 15 months with therapy and everything.
Wow.
Until I was completely no boot, no cast, no special sock, no anything.
Wow.
It was wild, but it kind of happened for a reason. That was senior year. Then my grandmother owns an insurance agency. She gave me a job where I could just sit down, and turned out to kind of be decent at it, just talking and little things with customers.
Okay.
And then progressed into an actual career.
Okay. So I'm going to go back, and I just want to unpack high school with you just a little bit. No, it's okay. So that's what I do as a host, is I try to bring us back and get us back. We'll chase rabbits all day. I'm bad about chasing rabbits. So.
Right.
So your high school, so you did high school in Sugarland?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kempner.
And Kempner? Okay. And so in high school, kind of tell us about your grades, and kind of, did you guys have like a career day, college career day, or anything like that?
We did have a similar type of career day. My parents weren't the most involved, so I didn't go.
All right.
I was really all across the board. I was A's, B's, and C's for the most part. Had some D's, and then I failed geometry second semester and failed chemistry second semester. Those are the only 2 classes I failed, but definitely not a good student. I went to class, and I didn't act up or anything like that. I didn't like to do homework. I didn't like to do the stuff at home, and I wasn't good at taking tests, so it didn't make for a great student.
So yeah, a little known fact about me, and in my part 1 of my podcast, I didn't really cover this. I read one book all the way cover to cover, going through all 12 grades, and the book was The Mouse and the Motorcycle, which is just a stupid book. That's the only book I had read up until like in my 20s that I ever I hated to read.
We have similar stories. Mine was Animal Farm, or Animal House. No, Animal House, the movie. Animal Farm is the book, and that was like 9th grade. That was the only one I ever read.
Yeah.
Completely, and I mean, even outside of school, I didn't read. I didn't get into reading until 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. And dove into that head first.
Yeah, I love to read now. I read all the time.
I need to make more time with gym, work, and everything. It's tough. But I definitely need to make more time. But I love reading.
Yeah.
Only nonfiction though. Can't do fiction books.
Yeah, no, I don't do any of the murder mystery stuff.
No.
It's just straight up, I'm learning.
If I want science fiction, I'm gonna go to a movie.
Yeah. So after high school, your grandmother hired you on or brought you on board. Did you have any type of training at the time, or were you just kind of doing paperwork, or what were you doing at your?
I started by just doing mail outs, answering the phones. I would write up a Word document, hey, we're coming into flood season, that type of deal. And then I would do by hand, write them all, mail them out, stamp them, all that good stuff. Filing, actually like faxing, and my grandma back then didn't do a whole lot of email. And so I was emailing for her.
Introduced her to that program.
Exactly. Not necessarily introduced, but actual the sending of the emails. She wasn't really fond of it. We had the 1-page scanner, just only a flatbed, not a feeder, so she didn't like doing that. So I did that and faxed little stuff around the office. Nothing as crazy importance, just menial tasks.
Okay, so just admin work type thing. So, and then, so how long were you there?
That was 2008. February of 2008, I broke my leg. I went to work for her June of 2008, and I'm still here. Still
with her. That's awesome. And so, tell us about your progression through that. I guess going into the insurance world.
So the early years were tough for me. I was failed 6th grade, so I was 19 when I graduated. I had a tough time getting. I had a little bit of a different one because my grandmother is my boss. So I had a little bit of a different relationship there. And she was nice grandma, and then I got to work, and she's tough.
She's the iron fisted grandmother.
Oh man,
different story when you're paying your family, isn't it?
In the beginning, she kept on telling me. She said, "Hey, I'm not grandma up here. You might call my name grandma, but I am not your grandma. I'm your boss. I need what's best for my company." And then I was like, man, that's heartless. Like I understand it now. Been in the industry a while now, and so I do understand it, but it was very tough getting that relationship down, and then just in general, like dealing with more public, because my jobs in high school were a car wash. My uncles own a trailer park, so I did landscaping there, mowing acres of grass. They were also contractors, so my dad's a plumber, so I did all sorts of crazy jobs with them, helpers and such.
So, quick question. How young were you when you first started working and actually getting paid for it?
Like 13 or 14 with my dad and my uncles. And then I worked a lot with them when I got into high school, about 14. During the summers, I worked with them. My brother's friend opened a lawn mowing business.
Okay.
My brother's 4 years older than me, so this guy was 4 years older than me. And throughout high school, I worked there on Saturdays and Sundays, probably once or twice a month. And then I worked with my dad after work, after school, did football during football season. And again, my uncles own crazy stuff. Some not so great businesses, not family businesses, but they needed work done. And it was average stuff that I could do. My uncle owned an off-road park one time, and I went to every single solitary mechanic, sales shop, dealer shop, handing out flyers for his little events. He'd pay me $50 a day, and I would do it.
Yeah.
So it was good. I had a lot of odd jobs. So that's why I didn't really have any type of training with people. Everything I did was I didn't have to talk to the people. So then I started talking to people, and but I can talk, I can talk to people, which was good. And so that's kind of what was hard in the beginning, was getting to know the customers and how that aspect works.
And I'll share that with our younger listeners. One of the things that I've learned with hiring people going through my office is your generation and younger typically prefer to text, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all on board with that. But there's a lot of jobs out there that you have to physically talk face to face with people, or over the phone, and that's a real struggle for your generation and below. Correct. Because you're just like, I don't know how to talk on the phone.
Correct.
And so with with that, I've had folks that just get done talking and hang up, not say goodbye.
Yeah.
And so that's just there's a lot of courtesies in phone conversations that people don't practice anymore because they're not used to talking in that manner. And so I would encourage you, if you're young folk in high school, try just calling your buddy sometime and just talking to him on the phone, or your girlfriend or whatever. That way you learn those communication skills, because those are very important. You'll find out in life that a lot of stuff can be done behind the computer. You can make a lot of money behind the computer, but there's a lot more that opens up to you if you're able to actually communicate with others. So anyway, I'm just putting that little bit in.
No, for sure. And I think that also adding to that, talking professionally, not just, hey, what's up, dude?
But I have with some of my guys too.
Clients that are young, 18, and that's how they'll talk. To understand, like, hey, professional atmosphere, you talk professional.
Right.
You can't say, hey man, what's up to your client. And so that's kind of what got me in the beginning, is I kept calling people dude. Like hey man, your bill is due.
Hey dude, you need to pay this stuff.
So it got bad. And that was
Grandma's over there smacking you in the back of the head.
You can't talk like that. This isn't your cousin and your uncles. Like, you have to be friends, correct. You got to be, and that was. But again, I had never been in any type of business where I talked with my dad, I talked with my uncles and my brother's friends, and
family and friends,
correct. So it wasn't a lot of professional conversations. So I know I didn't like to read in that thing, but find something that interests you, and there's a book about it, and then read it, and then you get that professional type vocab and sentence structure for that. My vocabulary exploded after I started reading. Correct.
It did, because you come across words that you're like, I think I know the meaning of that, and you're literally looking it up, and I should have known what that meant.
There's some books that are just above my vocab, and it's like every page I have to stop and go on Google and define this, and then I use my word that I know and put it in that sentence to make me understand it. There's still books. I'm definitely not the most educated in forms of book smart that way. But so I have to use Google. Google a good amount.
Something that helped me out is I had an English teacher in Bible college. She really helped me out with how I learn and process information, and she saw that I can read, and I can read out loud to somebody. But if I just read it to myself, like you could put a page in front of me and I read it to myself, I can't process the information. I have to read out loud.
Okay.
So what I used to do, and I did this for 2 or 3 years, was I would open the book up and I would read out loud to myself, and I would retain a whole lot of it. But I didn't know that about myself. And so now when I'm reading something, I'm actually reading out loud in my head.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
If you still
so I read out loud in my head. And so if I'm studying, so I just got my CHFC last year. And so for those, I crammed it all down into, my goal was to get it done in 8 months. I got it done in like 13. So
got it done.
Got it done. But I would sit there and read out loud, because I knew that I would retain it a lot quicker that way. And so I don't know if you follow after David Goggins or not.
Oh yeah,
and he just says Goggins has got to write it out like 10 times each page before it clicks in his head, and I understand that disconnect, and that's why I never really read, because I could literally, and I can still do it today if I'm not paying attention, read something, not read out so loud in my head, walk away from it, and not know what I read.
In school, I had major reading comprehension problems. I mean, I failed the reading. We had a TOS test back then. It was like TAX or something, Texas test, something like that.
They still have them.
And so, I always failed the reading. I'm the same way. I could read it, but I would think about something else. Be like, hey man, what am I going to do in football practice? Like, what are we going to do this weekend? While I'm reading, it's supposed to be on that. I'm like focusing elsewhere.
Do you do a lot of flying on airplanes?
No.
Okay, all right.
I've been plenty of times.
That is like a long flight from like here to New York for me is like a dream come true.
Oh,
dude, I put my headphones in, I'll put some Metallica on, and I'm just reading.
Dude, I gotta be completely silent when I read.
Do you?
Completely. I mean,
Yeah.
completely silent.
I can't have minor noises.
Mm.
Either it has to be a whole lot of noise, I can read and concentrate and I'm fine, or silent. I can't do like the in between. Like if there's a clock that's clicking, like a grandfather, I can't do it. It drives me nuts. I also have this thing with eating, so I can't eat like cereal at breakfast, which I don't eat cereal anymore. But used to be like eat cereal with the kids.
Mm.
If I hear one of them crunch, I'm done. I have to leave. I cannot. Oh, it's just, and it's actually, I looked it up. It's actually a disorder or a phobia or something like that. And so I've got it. And actually, Graham Moore, my partner that does the 'Tis the Season Christmas lights, he's got the same thing. I can't stand. If you're chomping on gum and I hear it, if you're chewing on, I can't. I have to get away. It just fires me up. So anyway,
Like you said, rabbit holes.
rabbit hole. So anyway, coming back to working at your grandmother's agency, how tell us about the transition from, I guess, where you were just kind of working there, and then you realized, hey, I could actually probably do this.
So initially, I wanted to be a firefighter.
Okay.
I wanted to get out of my leg thing and become a firefighter. So the first year, I just got by. I didn't try any additional.
Just got a
effort.
paycheck.
Just got a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And then she kept pushing, hey, get your license, You can make this amount an hour, you can make this commission, for every person. And she's like, hey, I don't answer the phone, you answer the phone, so you're going to get this. And that's when it kind of clicked. So it was I got mine in 2 years after, so June of 2010.
2010.
I got my P&C license, property and casualty license, so you can sell auto, home, commercial, stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's when I started. I got bumped up a few dollars an hour, and then I also started making commissions, and that's when I was like, whoa. That's when it really, I can.
So I don't want to get into all your business and stuff there. So starting out in the admin side, how much could somebody, like if they came and worked at your agency, how much are you guys starting out at?
So
roughly?
I'll probably say this a few times. We are a bit different than most because it's my grandmother. She's very old school.
Mm-hmm.
So our little admin worker would make $14, $15 an hour. I made $10 an hour.
Okay.
But
okay.
Everybody we hire now is $14 or $15 an hour for the admin.
All right. And then the licensing process to get you said you got the P&C license. How long is that process? What does it take? Do I have to be like super brainiac to get it, or
mine is different? I'm not good at tests. Freeze up on tests. So I took it in total 5 times.
5 times. Okay.
5 times, and I finally got on the 5th. Now, mind you, the first 2-3 times I was still in that I want to be a firefighter stage, and I didn't really put the correct amount of effort. Those last 2 times, I busted my butt and I studied and I failed. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it done. I don't think you necessarily have to be very brainiac, like you mentioned. You have to have the want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put in the time to study. Go to the prep class, for 3 days, and they teach you kind of everything you need to know about the test.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I've known people that aren't that smart on the street, street smarts, get it the first try.
Okay.
My uncle, very boat smart, got it first try, so a lot of people do get it the first try.
So if you get it the first try, how long is the process? Can you get it done in like a month, a week, 2 weeks,
I would
3 months?
I know you do the class, take the test, you pass. You got to do fingerprints. You have to do background checks. I think it's a couple months. You could have your
P&C license.
P&C license. So it's really not in different careers. It's more.
Yeah.
But with that, it's pretty quick with insurance.
Okay, so you can just basically go to class, study the books, and then take the test. And once you pass the test, you're just basically going through the background checks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you mentioned background checks. So what are they looking for, like in the background checks? What's a big no-no?
Financials.
Looking at financials.
Thievery. That's the main thing. So
felons. If you're a felon, can't do that. Okay.
Convicts, ex-cons type stuff. You might get denied, or you might have issues on there, but they're not necessarily looking for minor misdemeanors, which I had one, and I was nervous about it, but they didn't do anything. It wasn't anything related to
The financial industry?
Nowhere near. So it wasn't a big ordeal there.
Okay. And then, so once you got your license, you said you got like a $2 raise and then you were getting commissions.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody starting out in the industry that, either came work for your company or work for one of the other insurance carriers out there, how much could they realistically expect to make starting off? Just a ballpark range.
Starting off with no book of business, 30 to 50K.
Well, if they came to work for an insurance company, are they going to make $50,000 their first year?
You can.
You can.
Possibly. It's your commission. It depends on what type of commission structure you have. You definitely can.
Okay.
Especially if you go there and you're in an agency with a base pay. If you have a $15 base pay, what's that, like 20 a year, 25?
Yeah, 25, something like that.
Something like that a year. And then, so you have to sell, $2,000 worth of commission a month, which is definitely doable, to meet that 50K. So that's why I said probably maybe 30 or 40 on the conservative side.
Okay.
That's, if you can't sell $1,000, a month, it might not be the best thing for you, because you got to have money to live as well.
Right.
And if that's all you're making, you might want to find a different avenue, or if it's just not clicking. But I think you could, because your base pay around 25.
So just I'm going to talk to our students out there, anybody listening, even somebody that's looking to make a career change. So what Justin just said, you can literally go to class for 3 days, study, get your license in a couple of weeks, go through the FBI background checks, literally go from making whatever you're making now to $50,000 a year, just by putting in the work and being able to sell and
definitely. And it's not going to work without the work.
Right.
You're cold calling, you're going to meetups, you are going through your agency's existing book of business and cross-selling, and it's not easy. You're exidating, which means putting say I call you and your renewal's in October and I call you in July.
Okay.
And you're like, hey, I want to I would like a quote, but I don't want it until I'm actually renewing. So exiting would be putting it for that date that they're going to be effective as of.
Okay.
So call a month out and do all that. But you keep up with that religiously, constantly updating that, and it's a good amount of work, But it can pay out.
So somebody starting off in the industry, how many phone calls do they need to make a day or a week or?
So I personally have never had to cold. I've cold called. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a cold call. I have called our existing book of business, which was a good amount. So I had a lot of people to go after in the very beginning. So I never did a lead list or something and do it. But when I talk to people about that, they're making 500 phone calls a day. The very good ones are making 1,000 plus a day.
Wow. So that's a lot of work right there.
It's a lot of work, but that's all they're doing, and what they tell me is, hey, we're gonna call, and if they say no, hang up and I'm to the next one. And if they don't answer, I'm to the next one. So you could get through 100 to 200 calls in an hour easily. So it's if
you're not having conversations.
Correct. Yeah. If you're just going through
trying to get somebody on the phone.
Exactly. That's all you're doing it's a numbers game. So the more you do, the more you're statistically, the more you sell.
Okay. And then do you sell any other products or anything like that, or?
We sell just about everything in property and casualty. So I do all sorts of commercial insurance. Anything from a mechanic shop to a landscaper to salesmen, distributors. We have a guy that does he makes plastic bags. We have a guy that bends tubes. We do a bunch of different ship captains that inspect cargo ships. We do a lot of oddball stuff, and that's kind of when you couldn't find something, they would call my grandmother, and she would find them the coverage. And then that relayed down to me. And so we do a lot of different stuff, but that's commercial side. We do the personal auto, the personal home, life, umbrella to cover over everything.
Okay. So you do life insurance also?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got your life and
So
health
yes,
license?
I did. That was 2012. I got my life and health license. I focused on property and casualty 2010, and then my grandmother wanted me to get the life and health. I don't sell a whole lot of it, just because it's so time consuming. When you do go through, the people I got weren't young. They had all sorts of issues, and it was heck getting them through it.
Yeah.
So it was, to me, yes, you get a lot more commission per policy, but for the time, I could sell a lot more of my normal commercial policies or auto or home, and then it would, when you weigh in the time factor, that's when, to me, in my situation, was better than, on the personal side, the auto, home, and commercial, than the actual life and health. Health, I've never touched. I don't like it. The laws change too much to keep up with. You're on monthly commission statements. You don't get a yearly, chunk. So it's a little bit different. So I personally never got into the health.
Okay. So share with our listeners the commission. I've heard you talk a lot about commission, how that works. I know that, when I pay my insurance bill, I know that my agent gets a cut of it. So how does that work on the, I don't want to know the actual details, but how much are you getting paid?
You want percentages wise?
Percentage or just dollar amount, like your average dollar amount, like on an auto policy or home policy, and how that works, like at renewal. Do you get like half of that or a quarter of that or what?
So commissions, being independent, we have Progressive and Travelers, Hartford, Liberty Mutual, Safer. There's a bunch of different companies. Each company has a percent. You go based off your premium. Your premium is how much you pay for insurance. Okay. So if your premium's $1,000 a year, and they're giving a 10% commission to the agents, I sell $1,000 policy, I make $100. That comes. If that's a year policy, that comes once a year. Certain companies will do, you get 15% new business, 10% renewal. Renewal is if they go with you for the following year. So they'll have a split commission there. Some will just straight up keep it 10% new, 10% renewal, and then you go about your day. Then you have 6-month policies primarily with the personal auto insurance. I do have some companies that do 6-month commercial, but it's not common you go with those. Commercial's a year. But the personal 6-month policies for auto, you get paid every 6 months. So if it's $1,000 policy, every 6 months,
you get $100 from that customer, as long as they keep renewing with you.
Correct. If they keep renewing, then you get it that way.
Okay.
Home insurance, usually you get a higher commission rate. A lot of our home insurance are geared to have the bigger commission rate than the auto. Auto is very common to 10 to 12%. Home will be a 14 to kind of 16%, depending on which company we go to. It's a little bit harder to sell the home because there's a lot more coverages to go with it. Especially independent companies, they have all sorts of different rules and guidelines and things they accept and don't accept.
Okay. So how do you get tied in? You had mentioned like all these different insurance companies. So how did you get tied in with them? Is that just some relationships that your grandmother had made, or is that something that you established? Or?
So in the beginning, it was her making the establishment. So I do not own the agency. I run it. She's still full owner on everything. So the agency, what they call an agency appointment, it's where an insurance agent gets in a contract with the company, the insurance company itself. Once we get it's all the appointments are in her name. So she actually the name of them. And in the beginning, she would go out and get the agreements, and then I took over and I started going out and getting them. We are part of Momentum Insurance, which is a brokerage, and they have access to a lot of different companies. And of course, we're an agent under them, so we get the same access they do.
Oh, okay. So you built that relationship with Momentum, signed a contract with them, and then you got to sell what products they had already done the bidding to get into these other insurance companies. Okay, so that's a good deal. And so with the, so in 2008, I think what you said is when you started there, and in 2010 you got your license. At that time you were making about $12 an hour plus commissions. And so let's fast forward, go like 5 years beyond that, 2015. What was your income level looking at that point? I mean, you can go ballpark or...
I was about double, through that first 5 years. One reason is my grandmother had a stroke in 2013. It really affected her speech, and she's a talker, and she wasn't talking. So I had to step up and handle her accounts, and then from there people started really referring me because I was handling it good instead of just referring CJ, my grandmother. And then I was able to develop and grow my own book of business. But yeah, I was roughly in the 60, 70K range.
Wow.
And again, you got to think I didn't actively cold call. This was all just based off of word of mouth and work ethic, service, that type of thing.
So you're proving a good point there, that work ethic and service had literally taken you from, I imagine you're probably making 30,000 roughly.
Correct.
At the beginning.
I saw some paychecks and some old bills I did. I was making about $600 every couple of weeks in the very beginning.
Okay, so you went from making about 24,000 somewhere in there, all the way up to about 60, 70,000 in the course of 5 years. And you did that without adding any other side things, just basically taking care of your customers.
Exactly.
And then offering other products to them while you were on the phone with them. Basically saying, hey, do you have coverage for this if this happens? And so that's very interesting because that was one of the things that Daryl Creasy, my previous guest, pointed out is just answer the phone. If you own a business, or if you are involved in any type of business that deals with the phone, pick up the phone. You just have to pick up the phone because that's your income, that's your money.
Exactly. And you wouldn't. It's crazy how many people I run into and they say, my other agent just did not call me back. And I tell them all the time, I said, if I didn't call you back, I wouldn't make money. I'm not. I call people to pay them every month. They wait to hear my phone call and my voice before they pay their bill every single solitary month. And if I don't call them, they're not going to pay it. And if you don't pay your insurance bill, I don't get paid. Or if you already go with me, I have to get my commissions back if you cancel. So I'm not going to let you cancel. I'm going to sit there and call you. People loved it. And all it was is twice a week just calling people on a list that are about to cancel. But they liked it. And
that's good.
That's good. It's calling. Calling
all day. So, and so as far as work-life balance for yourself now, I mean, we're in 2021, that's 6 years beyond that. I'm sure you're making more than that now. So I want to talk about work-life balance and how does that work for you now? Do you have, just tell us how many hours a week you work, what do you do? I mean, how much time off you get a year?
I'm right anywhere from 40 to 50 hours a week. I do come in very early, in between 5:30 a.m. and 6, just because the phone doesn't start ringing until 9. Get a lot of work done. I do leave the office at 4. And a couple days a week I'll go home and have lunch. I've been there now, I guess this is going on my 13 full years, going on 14 years. I have a little bit of leeway and kind of can do what I want and please. In the beginning it went that way. It was, you better be here at this time, you better go home at that time. You better eat your lunch at your desk. That's how it was. It's just the way it went there. But I've always been a big proponent on the home work ratio. I don't, for a while there I was coming in early and then staying till 6 or 7, and I got burned out extremely fast. I get burned out on things easy. Just a negative about me. I will get burned out quick. And when I'm working like that, it tends to not be fun anymore. You don't, look forward to waking up and going to work, or just in general, like it's okay that I go to work. I don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
So home work ratio is huge to me. And I get off at 4 every day, and I go to the gym. I go home and hang out and do my thing, and I'm right back into bed, waking up early, during the week. And luckily, I'm in a position where we close at 12. I get to forward the phones to my cell phone. I work from my phone. I have a home office. If it's in a dire emergency, I'll do whatever has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I can get off at 12, and I can have that half day on Friday. I have full Saturday, I have full Sunday, which I love. Having a normal type schedule, I just say Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type schedule, and you get every weekend off. In insurance, you get the holidays off. Most companies will give you the holidays off. So Christmas and New Year's you get off, and a lot of times Christmas Eve, there's a lot of people that have the day off, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So that's kind of a plus as well. But that home-work balance is very important to me. And I have even in the beginning, yes, I probably could have done a lot more. I probably would have been a lot more successful, but I would have missed out on life itself.
Yeah. And that's important for folks. Some folks, Daryl, who was on here last week, he had a lot of struggles with that in the beginning, and it kind of affected his first relationship. They ended up getting divorced, and he's remarried now, and he's got a partner that she's more understanding, and she seems to be a worker, and he admits that he had kind of messed up that first relationship. It was on him. He owns it, and but he works like 14 hours a day, 6 days a week,
And that's and another thing,
works on Sundays too.
That's scary to me, because what happens if you have a heart attack next week?
Right.
So you literally spent all your life working.
He absolutely loves what he does.
That's different,
and
right?
So he's very passionate about what he does. He enjoys the heck out of it.
Right. You got a job like Joe Rogan, where you're doing comedy and podcasting and making millions of dollars.
Right.
It's different.
Life's different. Yeah. Life is fun.
Your buddy, he works and he loves it. It's different. I don't necessarily love insurance. I definitely tolerated a good amount, and it affords me a consistent lifestyle that I like. But I wouldn't necessarily say I love it. I love going and making that sale every day, and I love grinding and dealing with public, and I love it. I wouldn't say that. I would say it's extremely tolerable. I have a great job, I have great hours, I have great pay, so it makes that. But if you love your job, that makes it so much easier to just work, work and work.
So another question for you would be, on the top end, let's say that you're just super energetic, ambitious, and you want to, conquer the world in the insurance industry. Realistically, what can you make in the insurance world? What could you financially do for you and your family?
Those limits are endless. If you want to really get down to it.
So if I want to make $1 million a year, I could do that?
There are plenty of agents that make $1 million a year. I will tell you, there is a family on our next building over, the Gonzalo family. They are doing well. They drive around in fancy sports cars. The dad got a Ferrari, the son got the Mercedes, the little bean-looking one. He got a G-Wagon. You can tell they're well off. They've been there forever. And so you can make very good money. A lot more than I make, because I guess it's the effort thing. I do like my home life. So I do kind of draw a line, and that's what I have to do for my own sanity, my own mentality. Right. But there's definitely, if you're not like that, you can go and you can make a lot of money. The guy that owns Momentum Insurance, I don't know what he drives, but I can tell you he's pretty close to a millionaire if all these agents are producing what we produce. So you can make a lot of money doing it.
So I'm in insurance myself, and that was never presented to me on career day, and I know that there's a lot of upside in the insurance industry. I think it's one of the best kept secrets in the United States as far as an employment job, for working Monday through Friday and being able to make the money that a doctor makes.
Seriously, and you really can, you know, and then you still have that homework ratio, a good homework ratio.
And the amazing thing, I think it's still the same today. I took my P&C class a long time ago. You could be 16 years old and get your P&C license.
I've heard about that.
And so literally you could be in high school. If you were aggressive and you're in high school, listeners, go get your P&C license one summer, get tied in with and now they're all working from home.
Yeah.
Get tied in with an insurance agent somewhere, local agent, go in and say, hey, I want to work for you. I'll make phone calls in the evenings and on the weekends. They'll be like, yeah, I'll sign you up in a heartbeat to do that. And get on the phone and literally be making an adult salary by the time you graduated high school.
Right, and that goes right back to our other, in the beginning, talking about learning in the beginning, learning how to talk. That's the perfect way to learn. You're 16. Right. The worst they're going to happen is, hey, you don't talk good to these people. You need to do better. Okay, I understand I'm 16. I can, I'm starting on the ground floor, so you can do that.
You can work your way up, and then all summer long go work at the agency, learn from them.
Yeah. And when you get out of high school, you're already a step above everybody with knowledge, with how to talk professionally with somebody, with how to do you're just way ahead of the game.
Yeah. So that just wasn't on my career day.
As mentioned, I didn't go to career day, but I know it was filled with colleges.
Yes.
I had a lot of friends go to college. A lot of friends do not use their degree. They went. So I was kind of forced into going to Wharton County Junior College for 1 year. I went, wasn't for me. I got into some student debt, not much compared to most, but it's debt. And it just wasn't for me. So I really like what you're doing here with you don't need to go to college to make a living for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that our society is changing a lot, and it's more about, like Daryl said, just go get a license. Anything that has to be licensed by the government or the state, there's job opportunities for it. So if you can get a license, just go find out what licenses are out there and pick one and see if you like it, and go after it and start your own thing.
And there's great things where you don't, you can get licenses and where you do not need to go to college to get them, and do not, to make that good living.
Yeah, so there's plenty of opportunity out there. And so you had mentioned you go to the gym after work. Because I know a little bit of your story from where you were, and you said I was fat back then, and to where you are now,
really
and fat. so just kind of share with our listeners that journey and how you came to the conclusion that I needed to make a change.
So basically, I was kind of fat all growing up, playing football, and we did all sorts of sports. Mom was working full time, and so it was Burger King this, McDonald's that, Pizza Hut this day. So it was kind of that. And then I grew into that after high school, and it persisted and it got really bad. So 2018, broke up with my fiance. She broke up with me, and I wouldn't want to be with me either. Wasn't a pretty sight. So we split, and then I also was just feeling bad. I was waking up sluggish. Come to find out, I was like 320 pounds. And wearing a size 44 waist, and just humongous. And I knew I needed to change. I was like, man, I just got, basically split with a fiance. Like, we got to sell a house. We got to do all this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then I ended up learning from Kevin Smith, who's the director of Jay and Silent Bob. He's been on Rogan a few times.
Okay.
Big director. Anyways, he had a heart attack. His doctor said do a SPUD diet. So it was potatoes for 2 weeks straight. And I was like, what the heck? I'm going to try it. Nothing but potatoes. Baked potatoes, and then I would sprinkle some salt on them. That was the only thing.
No butter?
No.
Oh, wow.
I did add some ketchup.
Okay.
That first week, I did without anything, and then I started adding some ketchup and ranch. I just couldn't take it.
Yeah, I would
but
imagine.
I lost 10 pounds a week.
I'm sure, because you didn't even want to eat.
And then that kind of really kicked off. And then I did a proper, like with a meat and half serving of carbs, rice, white rice, and some veggies, steamed veggies. I did that for about a year, and then I found carnivore diet, which is my favorite. It is nothing but meat. That is all you eat is meat. And so for 2 years I did that.
No vegetables?
No vegetables.
Do you take any type of supplements or anything?
So I take a good amount of supplements. I do take nothing crazy. I take fish oil, glutamine, glucosamine, vitamin D now that COVID's around, and zinc. You're not taking vitamin D or zinc, do it. That's about the actual, and then a men's one a day vitamin.
Okay.
But my doctor was like, "Oh, this is crazy. You're gonna, your blood work's gonna be out of whack." Every 6 months I go, she's just astonished. It looks great. Carnivore diet's doing a lot. That's a definite rabbit hole, but autoimmune disorders, it's reversing. Jordan Peterson's daughter, same thing. She had an autoimmune disorder. It reversed it. He's had issues. It reversed them. Diabetics are literally not seeing blood sugar at this count their whole life just by doing carnivore diet. So it's doing a lot. It's not for everybody, definitely not, but it works for me. I'm not a big veggie guy, so I just eat steak and pork chops and hamburger, just the meat, no bun or anything. But now I'm down to 200 pounds, and I go to the gym every day.
You go 7 days a week?
I used to go 7 days a week until I got a girlfriend, and then I see her Wednesday, and then I got a fiance, so I see her all weekend, and so now I take off Wednesday night, and I just bought a motorcycle, so I've been taking off Sunday. Although I'm gonna get back on my Sunday grind though.
Get up early and go.
Get up early. Yeah. I do Saturday and Sunday. I'll be in the gym at 6:30.
Okay.
Just so that it's quick, and then now with the motorcycle, going and riding early is the best time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, so now I'm down about 120 pounds, and I feel great. It's
a lot more energy.
Oh, crazy. I wake up at 4:30 to 5. I go to work all day. I get out at 4. I go to the gym, and I work out hard. I'm in there 2 hours usually with a cardio session or a sauna session. About 2.5 hours sometimes, and then I go home. I got dogs like my kids, so I gotta tend to him, and then I take a shower. Man, I go to bed at 9 o'clock every day, so it's a quick day. But I have more energy than I did when I didn't go work out, and I just sat at home and did nothing. I was always taking naps. I never take naps anymore. I don't have enough time right now.
Right.
But it's been great, man. If you're definitely struggling for weight, don't quit. Just keep starting it.
So did you work out in the beginning when you were like doing the SPUD diet, or
no, not at all actually?
No
so
workout.
I did. I lost 60 pounds before I even stepped in the gym.
All right.
So strictly just by changing my diet. Now my diet was bad. It was
a lot of fast food and stuff.
No, like every meal. And if I did eat at home, it was frozen pizzas, and it was 4 or 5 hot dogs, and 3 cheeseburgers, or little Tyson frozen chicken patties. I have like 4 of those sandwiches.
Wow.
And that's 8 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
Plus ketchup, and then I'm gonna drink soda. I mean, it was
just, you were just going down a bad path with that whole thing.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And it was lunch. I never eat breakfast. Never have since middle school.
Okay. Are you a breakfast eater now?
No, I do.
Still no breakfast?
So I do intermittent fasting during the week.
All right.
So I quit eating. Usually I get out of the gym about 7, and I quit eating at 7. I eat 6:30 to 7, and I quit eating, and I don't eat until 1. So I haven't really. Well, I did. My bad. I did eat today. I ate 2 boiled eggs at 12.
Okay.
I was hungry.
Okay.
But other than that, I usually so every day during the week I go home at 1 o'clock and eat.
Yeah, that's what Daryl does. Daryl,
eat at my desk.
The guy that was on here before, he does intermittent fasting, and he only eats dinner. That's it. Doesn't eat anything else. A lot of people do
that. They call it OMAD.
Dude,
one meal a day.
I would literally just kill somebody at like after 12 o'clock because I eat like 4 eggs for breakfast.
But he should eat a lot during that meal.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Yeah,
I didn't get into the details.
Lot.
Yeah, so I eat like 4 eggs for breakfast, 2 sausage patties, and then I have like a salad for lunch. I have protein shake, and I do the Balance of Nature. I take those pills with breakfast, lunch, and then whatever my wife makes for dinner, we'll have dinner. And so that's pretty much my diet. On the weekends, the lunch changes a little bit because I'm at home, but the breakfast is always the same.
Right.
My wife is like, I'm tired of eating scrambled eggs.
At least she gets to eat breakfast. I wouldn't be eating breakfast.
Dude, I am ravenous when I wake up in the morning. I am just like starving.
On the weekends, as when I used to eat bad, it was donuts and tacos and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. And I do cheat every now and then on the weekends.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to me, it's kind of like The Rock, man. He does one meal a week, and that's like perfect.
Yeah.
I try to do that. Sometimes it's 2 meals a week.
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday, but Sunday I sharpen up. I get back in gear and do everything.
No, it's a tough decision to make, and glad you shared with us the story of how that happened with you. So
Wow.
My situation was I just kind of took a picture when I was in Ireland. I was at the Garda station. They were taking a picture for my green card, I guess, to stay on the island. And I looked at the picture. I still got that picture in my wallet,
Really?
ID card in my wallet. And I was just like huge. I was like, then I weighed myself and I was like, okay, the sum's got to change. I was like 260 at the time, and I was just like, no, something's got to change.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I felt like crap. I would sleep all the time, but I did I was really studying a lot and reading a lot at the time, but I just still had to make that time to get out and go do something.
I was video games and movies and just sitting stationary and just bad, just all around.
So we can make a change. Oh wow, we're already 50 minutes into the podcast here. So what I like to do is to wrap things up. I ask this question with all of our guests that are on here. So if you could put on a billboard outside of every high school in the United States, what would that billboard say and why?
Seek other options.
Seek other options.
I don't know how many words we're talking about.
You can put whatever. It can be a scrolling message.
Really, just seek other options than the norm.
The norm.
Seek other options than just college. Like it's not just college. A lot of people go to college and they screw around and they don't get any type of education. Then they're out with a bunch of debt, no education, no form. We interview people out of college and they don't know how to talk to people. They talk like I did in high school. What's up, dude?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm just saying. Like seek other opportunities. You don't have to do everything your friends are doing, and if you go somewhere and you say, hey, I'm not going to college, like it's not the end of the world. You might feel like I was around certain people, or we're going to this college, we're going to that college, we're going to that college, and I'm like, broke my leg, I'm about to work at an insurance agency.
Yay!
Look at that life. But you work hard at it, you do good at it, and like now, again, I don't necessarily love my job, but I love my life. Healthy, I have enough money to do what I want when I want, to a certain extent.
Right.
I love my truck, got a motorcycle, I get to enjoy my life right now while I still can. And that's the thing, seeking other options. If I would have just known that from the beginning, I probably wouldn't have done insurance. I probably done like a welding inspector or something like that. They make good money.
Yeah.
But you'd be outside and stuff. But yeah, I'd probably say seek other options.
Seek other options.
Other than just the norm.
I like it. I like it. So so that's a great deal. So all right, well, it's been a great conversation with you today.
It's been nice.
And
cool
just getting to learn about your life. And
I do want to say Chris needs to hurry up and put out his part 3
of his life. It's gonna be 3 and 4, I think.
1 and 2, and then he just stops when he's about to go to Ireland. A few people have said that we need to get that part 3
Yes,
out.
I will work on that. So I don't have any interviews next week, so I will, at least not right now. I'll try to work on closing that chapter out next
Excellent.
week.
And I do want to say, I think this idea you're doing and for high school age kids, and this is perfect. I mean, the idea is awesome, having an actual little library of different ideas to go from. And even if you hear insurance and then you go and watch different YouTube videos, I mean, that just it puts you in there.
Yes.
But I think this is an awesome idea you got going on.
Well, thank you. So I'm hoping that it'll help a lot of folks out. That's my goal.
I think it will, man.
Is to help some folks out on that. So, well, thank you once again for being on the podcast and the
Appreciate
YouTube
it.
channel. So if you're out there watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Same thing if you're on the podcast.
Throw a like.
And then smash that like button so that the good old YouTube algorithm will just snatch our podcast up and YouTube and put
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan don't even know who I am. He's like, Chris who?
He will.
Chris Jones is a football player.
No,
He's the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys.
Chris, hold the phone.
Hold the phones. It's Jones.
Yeah,
that's right.
Joe Rogan's gonna know that name.
All right. Well, thank you once again for being with us today and taking your time to watch our videos or listen to our podcast. I'm Chris Jones signing off.
I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Yeah. Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing it. Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing it. Okay, I'ma hit for 20 off a laptop. In a Zoom meeting, making money is my backdrop. Ballpoint base hit harder than a slap shot. Flew out my baby, told her ride me like I'm Epcot. Whoa, I've been doing road on the go. Get a bag and flip it, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure. I was never talking about nothing. Turn it down and go get you some money. Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing it. Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing it. Eyes on the money, my brothers got my back. Streets moving funny, so I been holding strap. Not playing defense, we been on the attack. Plotting and scheming, how we gon' get it back. Designer all on you, but you can't buy the swag. No Miris, those foo-foo, I can see the tag. You can bet if I spendin' this, cause I get it back. I'm 5G, your dollar, I can see the lag. All I ever wanted was to have it all. Got close, never froze, had to risk it all. As a little boy, I wish I was a little tall. Never made the league, I found other ways to let me ball. Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing it. Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing it.